Because we're confident enough in it, we want you guys to get in to be able to play around with it for a while, for 30 days. So that one will be completely free charge for those that are part of the dental office managers community.
Tanner, hey man, how you doing? Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time out to help our office managers get an understanding of Unify and how it helps dental practices. So thanks again for taking the time out today.
Yeah, definitely not a problem. I love contributing back to the community that's given so much to me as much as I can. So this is nothing. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So Tanner, when we first met, you were telling me about Unify, but we actually met through the community, and one of our other members had kind of tagged you on a post, and I was like, "Who is that guy, Tanner Applegate?" I was like, "This guy got a pretty cool name, Apple, Apple Computers, Gates, like Bill Gates, Windows." Like I was like, "All right, who is this guy? I got to find out who he is." So yeah, we like connected, and then you started telling me about, hey, look, Unify, and I looked it up. I thought it was really cool, really interesting. What is it that Unify offers dental practices, and how'd you come up with the idea, I guess?
Yeah, let me give you a little bit about my backstory about how we even ended up at Unify, right? So a lot of tech products that are available in dental come from a founder that is not dental experienced, right? They don't understand the pain points of dental office. They haven't been in there, done that. And that's where I think that for my background, it's a little bit different. So I started actually probably about 10 years ago, went to undergrad with the intention to go to dental school, interviewed a bunch of dentists and said, hey, if you were to do undergrad differently, what would you do? And they all said that they wish they studied business. So I studied business in undergrad. I did all my pre-dental prereqs, did some shadowing for dentists, and quickly realized that I had no interest in the clinical side of dentistry. It was not my passion. I mean, I'm all for oral health. I definitely am a promoter of that for sure. But watching like oral surgeons and stuff, I'd get woozy, and I was like, all right, this is not the path for me. But learning enough about the dental industry, I was like, man, I'm still passionate about it. Like, I want to be a part of it. And so that's when I said, you know what, I'm going to start really kind of getting in and helping offices kind of reach their max potential. So I got in as kind of a non-clinical owner for some offices. We grew first group up to about 5 locations. And so it started at the very beginning, right, with one office. When we first bought our first office, it was like 3 ops, no charts, nothing digital. I had to get in with boots on the ground and just kind of make it all happen. And so I've done a lot of the phone calls, right, the insurance verifications, the claims follow-up. Like I've done it all starting from kind of day one. And every time the Apple and Bill Gates side of me, the nerd side of me, just kept thinking like, there's so many things broken with this process, right? Like I think in processes, that is what I would say is kind of my strength. And so as I went throughout the dental career, I realized, you know what, these problems that resonate for me resonate for everyone in dental, but there's not anyone out there actually solving them. Why don't I transition out from operating in dental practices to actually building the technology that dental practices need? Right. So that was really kind of where the creation of Unify came. So fast forward, let's talk about a little bit about Unify. Here's the pain point. Let me paint a little scenario for you, Kyle, and maybe this will resonate for you. I first had an office manager who, when I started working with her, she'd never done anything digital, right? She'd always called in the insurance company and did everything via that way. She never did anything digital. And so she'd be stuck on the phone forever, right? Whether it was like calling after hours because she knew she wasn't going to get interrupted by patients or whatever, it was just kind of like wasn't efficient. And I felt bad for her because it kind of made her life miserable, always having to deal with those insurance companies. So I said, okay, let's get you set up with insurance portals. We got her subscribed. I started saying, okay, for Delta Dental, here's your login. Right. For Cigna, here's your login. For MetLife, here's your login. And she had this little like notebook by her that she would always like write that stuff down in. Right. Time goes forward. 6 months later, I come in and I'm like, okay, well, we're working on a specific project. I remember this vividly. And I'm like, hey, her name was Karen, which she's the farthest thing from a Karen in the world, but her name was Karen.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, Karen, like open up Delta Dental. Let's check this patient's benefits real quick. So she pulls out her little notebook and she's flipping through it. And like finally, eventually she finds that page and she has like 20 scribbled out passwords because she had to change them constantly. And honestly, I think she put in like 6 passwords before she finally got the right one. Luckily, Delta Dental didn't lock her out. We know plenty of other logins that would have locked her out. But I was just like blown away. What should have been like a 3-minute transaction to understand this patient's information became like a 20-minute just trying to find that right login. And I was like, no wonder like she was so used to the web portal. I mean, the calling is because it was inefficient with their web portals. So that was really kind of the idea behind it all, is like, hey, how do I help this Karen? How do I help her go in and have all of her insurance logins at a click of a button, where it is her go-to launch and support? Like, she knows that if I need to go anywhere, I just go there. It automatically launches me to the insurance portal. The passwords are automatically saved, automatically entered. I don't need to worry about what it is or where it would store it, etc. It just kind of becomes that launch pad. And so that was really kind of the idea inception behind Unify. And since then, as we've rolled it out, I mean, we're relatively new, Kyle. I told you that this is the first kind of Facebook group that we've worked with. And within the short amount of time that we've been out, we have seen a huge number of office managers that are just like so excited about it because of this idea that, hey, I don't have to worry about where is it saved? Like, where am I writing it down? Is it on a shared spreadsheet? I need to copy and paste it from that shared spreadsheet, et cetera. It's just as one click and you're there, right? You don't have to remember any of that other stuff. So anyways, I know it's a long story, but that's kind of where we got to for Unify right now.
Yeah, no. So I mean, you said maybe I resonate with that, and 100% I resonate with that. I've tried the spreadsheet system, failed. I've tried the post-it system, fails every time. So, it's the notebook, having each person in the office just write down and keep them updated, fails. And I think a lot of the problem lies with communication, where it's like maybe that's not something that can actually be communicated to in between staff members, because ultimately there's different staff members logging on at different times. And
Absolutely.
so, if one person changes a password, does that person actually write it down? Does that person tell everyone? Is it being entered into a spreadsheet correctly? I've encountered, situations where, oh, well, the staff member says the password is updated. I updated it. And then I go and I copy and paste it, and it doesn't work. And, I may have a patient in front of me that I'm trying to do a case presentation for, and I'm trying to get these extra details that maybe weren't collected, during the insurance breakdown process. And I can't get it. And then that delays me. And so ultimately now, not only is it like a domino effect, everyone's wasting time.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, we're now wasting the patient's time. And so, it's just bad all around. So yeah, I mean, I could see how, other practices would be dealing with the same exact situation, if not similar.
Oh, for sure. And it's prolific. It's one of those things that, like, you're right. Like, you went through a list of these different attempts that people have done, right? We've seen things like, oh, we stored in Chrome. Well, Chrome's great, but Chrome doesn't sync across all your team members, right? So if you change it in one, all of a sudden now somebody that's on a different machine that's saving it on a different one doesn't have that same password update. And so now you're still like in that same situation of, okay, who's got the newest password, the most updated one? Yeah, I mean, it's a plague, and it's something that I'm excited to be able to come in and support. It wasn't what we initially came out to solve, to be honest, right? Like, we were thinking, no, we need to go and solve these different issues. But we just kept coming back to this problem of like, this is something that is rampant in dental. Like, there is not really a solution out there that fixes this globally for everyone. So yeah, we're excited to be able to be part of it. And honestly, I'm excited to be able to be a part of this group too, to help out in that same fashion.
Yeah, bringing it back to, the Google Chrome, you mentioned that, right? And so it's funny because I didn't really realize that until we went through the onboarding process.
Mhm.
And when we went through the onboarding process, I was like, wait a second, the passwords are not here. Like, but how is the front desk getting them? And then I'm not getting the same passwords. Anyway, listen, man, Unify opened up my eyes quite big to that whole situation, because the belief is like, hey, the internet browser is going to store the password, it's going to save it, and that's going to, alleviate that worry. But it's not. And I
Oh,
started
it's
thinking
not.
like maybe this is also why we're having problems.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was really eye-opening to when we did the onboarding process to like really say, hey, look, what were we doing? What did we thought we were doing the right thing the whole time. We thought we were organized. We thought, everything we thought was wrong. So,
Yeah,
I'm
for
I'm
sure.
happy to get started with Unify. And so far it looks good to me.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for you to get in jumping into it too. I know that we started with it and it's going to be a little bit of a process kind of get set up for you, but you're right. Yeah, it really is too. Like when you get into the Chrome thing, when it pops up the next time, you're like, okay, great, we've got it saved. But the issue is like you've got it saved on your computer, but when somebody else goes to do it, they don't necessarily have it saved on their computer. And so now you're not creating this team Unify, right? You're really just saying, okay, um, everyone's kind of on their own, and hopefully you have the most updated password because otherwise I don't have the most updated password.
Yeah. Yeah, and then everyone's getting locked out.
No, totally. It's a pain. It is a pain. And then you're spending either 25 minutes on the phone trying to reset that with the insurance carrier, or you end up, I mean, there's some insurance portals where in order to get yourself unlocked, you have to literally send a letter. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's talk about time killer. That's horrible. In terms of like, so this is a problem that Unify has helped to like come to the forefront and fix for dental managers and dental practices overall, right? What other problems does Unify kind of address and help to solve?
That's a great question. We always kind of say, let's start with insurances because we know that that's a common problem. But there's also this issue too of like, let's imagine you're my front desk person. I am my office man. I'm the office manager. Maybe you're brand new to the company. Maybe you're not, but I want you to access certain documents or have it available to you, right? If you were to have another password manager, let's just say LastPass or whatever, right? We know what else is out there, what other people are using. If I wanted you to access a certain document, you can't access that on the platform, right? I can't go in and put in a link that doesn't require a login just so you have immediate access to it. I have to go in and then say, okay, well, go and access this file, then go in and add it to the bookmark, et cetera. Like I can't control what is available and seen on your dashboard. Whereas with Unify, you can, right? So let's say that you have your SOP of how to create a payment plan, right? You're sick of how many people have done the payment plans wrong. You create this document. The front desk person wants to go in and refer to it. So what they do is just like they would do if they were to go to the Delta Dental, they click on the Unify button, then they can go into the SOP directly from within Unify. They don't need to worry about where is the URL, where is it stored, which one's the newest one, right? You can control all of that from an administrative perspective. So you can essentially say, here's all of our training documents in one place. Here's all of our insurance portals in one place. And then also the other one that we're seeing a lot of people utilize us for is like, here's all of our third-party applications, right? The Delta Dentals, I mean, the Dental Intels of the world or the Mangos or whatever it is, you have to access those accounts when you need them. And it's amazing how many people lose those login information as well.
Yep. Yeah. Would you be able to kind of do like a share screen with us and
Yeah,
maybe
for
just
sure.
kind of run through a couple of the features?
Okay, so within Unify, everyone has their own login, right? So you're logging in individually. It's not shared across the company. The way that we do that is we just say, hey, here's a price for a dental office. It doesn't matter. We always give unlimited users within that. Okay, so you come in here, like I said, right? You can have your insurance logins. You just click on it. Guardian launches it, automatically logs in for you for your username and password, and it takes you straight into the back end, right? So now I don't have to worry about what that username and password is, and it is in there directly. You'll notice though the insurance logins, Guardian, Aetna, Bean, etc. Those are there, but you also can add in things like, hey, here's my Dental Intel login. Here's my Dentura login. Here's my social media logins for like Facebook or even my emails, etc. There really becomes kind of the go-to single place to access everything that you need to outside of your PMS,
That's
right?
cool.
So I mentioned earlier the ability to use it for trainings, right? This is one where one of our clients, they're currently saying, hey, here's how you balance payment plans. Here's how you run payment plans. So that was the example that we said earlier is like, you click on this, it'll open up like that document specifically for them.
So, are there a certain amount of passwords that you can store?
Anything that you can access on the internet, you can access on here. So the
Wow.
only thing that is kind of a downside right now is that you can store your Open Dental or your Dentrix or anything that is like server based. You can store that in here, but obviously it's not going to launch Open Dental and automatically log in for you.
Got
So
it.
we have a lot of people that'll come into here. They'll go into like, let's just say Open Dental. They'll use it and then they store the information here, but it doesn't launch. It just is for that information for you to be able to make sure you can access that.
I could see that being useful. I mean, in the past when I used Dentrix, it was always, staff members forgetting their password or, because sometimes the passwords are so complex where, you have to use like exclamation points and periods and dashes and question marks. And so, and then you got to change them every so often. So, you know,
Yep.
that's pretty cool that this has that capability.
Yep. So you can just make sure you're keeping those updated in here and you can store it all.
So really the capabilities are kind of endless in a way, right? Any type of password you need to store that you don't want to forget, you can put it here.
Yep. And even if it's not a password, right? So it functions in both ways. Yes, there are those like insurance logins or even emails where it'll auto launch the website and auto fill it for you. But then there's also things like the let me auto launch a website without needing a username and password. That's where the training example comes in. But then also is like, let me store in a username and password without the auto launch, which is what like Open Dental or Dentrix would be.
Got
Right.
it.
So it really is like you can use this for a multitude of ways. A lot of people even too are actually using this for like contact information. Right. So if you just like, hey, I want to add in a phone number and I want everyone to be able to access that phone number, you can come in here and just add in that information. Right. So you just say, hey, don't store that login. Right. This is Kyle's phone number. Right. And it is 123 456, etc. Right. So you can essentially add in any information you want here. You share it out with the rest of your team, and now all of a sudden everyone has access to that phone number too.
Wow.
So it really is like a storage place. Like the way that we view this is like this is your hub. This is where your team comes in and resides to access any kind of information or password.
Yeah, I can't wait to play around with this because, we just did the onboarding process, but I'm like excited to get this going. That's cool. So is this information being stored on a server? Is it being, is it cloud-based? Like in terms of like privacy, information and things of that nature, what should we know?
All the information is encrypted and stored in the back end, right? And so what that means is that my team, me, I can't even access this information. Once you put it in here, it goes into this encrypted one, which you guys have a specific key as a user. And then the database has a specific key, and those have to match up in order to be able to decrypt it for you to be able to utilize it. Right. So it really is like kind of top of the line security in that aspect. And then when you share it across with team members, you can share access to things without actually sharing that username and password, which then from a HIPAA perspective actually means now you're a lot more compliant. Everyone, and one of the things that people don't know about HIPAA compliance is that if you have a shared username and password by itself, that is not HIPAA compliant. You have to be able to see who has accessed what when, and that's when you become HIPAA compliant. So Unify does that, right? If I share this Aetna login with you, Kyle, you'd be able to see whenever I accessed it, right? Especially if I didn't have access to the username and password. And so now you've become HIPAA compliant because even though we're using the same username and password, you are actually going in and being able to track, okay, what is the usage and who used it when.
Are there more features you want to show or?
No, I mean, really, realistically, too, if you are in a multi-location office, the nice thing is you can kind of see these tags up here. You can identify like which location belongs to what, right? And so as let's say that you're a regional or multi-location office manager, you can say, hey, I want to just access one office, and it'll show you all of the logins specific to that office.
So that's good for like DSO structure practices. Now, how easy is it to change a password?
Right. So you come into here. If you are an admin, the way that this works. So let's say that I'm an admin. I'm the one that created Aetna and shared it out with everyone. I come in here and I can just update it in here. Right. The example with the Chrome was that, hey, if something were to change, you have to remember to go in and manually type it in and change it on your Chrome or on your spreadsheet or whatever. On here, we automatically are capturing that. Right. So when it updates on the website, it'll actually update it in here and that'll automatically update it for everybody.
Got it.
Okay. So that's really kind of the biggest key too, is that we make sure that we're sitting there and detecting those password changes for you so that we can update it and nobody else in your team gets locked out.
Yeah. Which happens often,
Right.
which countless times. I've seen posts in the community about that exact issue, password management. And so discovering, Unify, it's a solution that office managers should start considering. From what I understand, in terms of, one of the biggest pain points that office managers face is like, and I face it as well, is time, right? We're pressed for time because we have a lot of tasks that we have to complete, and there's a lot of expectations and things to get done by the end of the day. One of the things I don't really enjoy is having to figure out passwords
It's
and
the worst.
trying to find out. I
You're
mean,
already busy enough, man. Trying to go and have to get logged into something and just
yeah.
put you back even more. It's terrible.
Listen, I deal with it at home. I don't want to deal with it in the office too. Every time I got to change the password at home, it's like, oh gosh, I gotta, write this one down or put it in my, my notes on my phone. It's awesome, man. This is a
Yeah,
really good solution. So
yeah,
I'm
for
glad
sure.
someone finally came up with something like this. It only took how long I've been in dental? 22 years. It only took
Yeah.
22 years.
Yep. No, I feel that. I was like, this is crazy. There's got to be something out there. And I went and tried everything, everything. And I
Yeah.
still was like, this is not built for dental. Like they don't understand the multi-location problem. They don't understand the fact that I need to add in individual logins as well as shared logins, as well as links. Like I want to be able to go in and say, hey, here's a website to a link. I mean, here's a
Yeah.
link to a website without having to log in. Like it was just amazing how much they just didn't understand the use case of dental.
What is some of the feedback that you get back from office managers once they've signed up with Unify?
Oh, I love it. That is my favorite thing about this business that keeps me going. Right. So, right, Kyle, I know that we're kind of getting to know each other, but in general, I am a techie nerd. So I do a lot of consulting for companies about like their tech stack, et cetera, that I wanted to go out and just build something that was just going to like blow everyone's mind, et cetera. And I saw this password management idea and I was like, yeah, it's going to solve problems, but like it's not like brand new revolutionary technology, right? It's not AI that all these things. And so I was kind of hesitant to do it for a long time. But then as soon as I started working with customers and started getting their feedback, that was the exact reason why I was like, okay, I'm going to double down on this because I know that it is solving a problem that doesn't exist. And so as you talk about feedback, some of the things that like the most common recurring feedback that I get is this has become a part of my day-to-day workflow that I can't live without. Right. Like they just become reliant on it because they know, oh, if it's not in the PMS, where do I go? I go to Unify first and then the rest of my work gets done. Right. And so it's because it's become so like instrumental in what people do day to day that I'm like, this is something that I get passionate about that feedback, which is what keeps me coming to say, okay, how do we make this product better? How do we build it? Like, what else are people utilizing this for that we didn't intend that we can actually go and retrofit it to use, right? And so that's kind of something that on a personal side gets me excited. It's just I get a lot of positive feedback from those office managers about how much this has changed their day-to-day routine and how much they become dependent and they love it. And I'm like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm again, like I'm excited to really get past the process of getting this going in the office. So when I get back to the office tomorrow, I plan on getting this up and running and launching it.
We'll have to redo this in a month or so to hear your feedback on it too.
Yeah. Definitely, I'm looking forward to it and sharing my experience as well with the members in the group. So, yeah, man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So, one of the special deals that you and I were able to work out for members of the community was, I believe it's a 30-day sign up, 30-day
Yep,
trial,
30-day
right?
free trial. So because we're confident enough in it, we want you guys to get in to be able to play around with it for a while for 30 days. So that one will be completely free charge for those that are part of the dental office managers community on Facebook. And you're creating a website too, which is another side topic we can talk about. But so that's one thing. The other thing too is that sometimes, and we did this with you too, right? Sometimes setting it up can be daunting because your logins are spread out across a billion different places. Right. And so what we do is we actually will do what is called a white glove onboarding as well. And we want to make this available. So white glove onboarding, usually we charge about $2.99 per location. But we'll actually offer it to your team, to your community for free, because we know that it's going to be something that you guys are going to be excited about and kind of become hopefully long-term partners with Unify on. But it really, what that does is we say, let's take your spreadsheet or help you out in Chrome or whatever it is to get those passwords into Unify and cleaned up, right? We make sure that we got the logos there, we got the right URLs there. We can go ahead and help indicate, okay, these are the usernames and passwords that are broken versus the ones that are working, etc. And so that'll really make sure that you and your team are set up for success day one, right? Nobody wants to go into a website, click on an account, have it broken, and then be like, oh, well, I don't trust the rest of these, so I'm never going to use it again.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where the white glove onboarding comes in. And I think that for your team, being able to say, hey, we'll offer it for free for those that are specifically a part of this community that mentioned that, that'll be a huge benefit for that team as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure the members will love that. So yeah, appreciate it. I appreciate you jumping on here and kind of going over Unify and, you know, teaching us, just letting us know like how you're making the community better. So
for sure.
Again, I'm excited to you know, get this up and running in the practice. I think the staff members are going to be happy with it. Hopefully in turn, they'll be happy with me. So, you know, and in turn, I'm happy meeting you. So, you know, it all works out. Everyone's happy at the end of the day. And I'm looking forward to that. So, you know, how can members in the community reach out to you, Tanner, or find out a little bit more about Unify?
Yeah, so to find out a little bit more about Unify, our website is www.unify.dental. And that's it. No .com or anything afterwards, just unify.dental. You can visit the website, browse around there. That's also where you can request a demo. We'll also put a link, I think, at the bottom of this webinar, right, Kyle? Yep. And that will be specific to be able to help you guys book a link specifically through the Dental Office Managers community. So if you book a link from this webinar, we'll know that you come from there. And like I said, we'll kind of give you those goodies from that. Otherwise, if you book it from our website directly, you'll just have to kind of mention, hey, this is where we heard about it, etc. And then again, we'll make sure that we can get that for you, me and my team.
Cool, man. Awesome. Tanner, thanks again so much for coming on, and I appreciate your time and just enlightening us on how you guys are making, you know, dental better. So
yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited for the follow-up in a month or so, Kyle, to hear how things are on your side.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I'll definitely do the follow-up for sure and share my experience so everyone can get, you know, a real personal like touch kind of thing. But yeah, man, cool, awesome. Thanks again, Tanner.
Thank you so much.
Take care, and I've enjoyed having you on.
Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.
Take care, man. Bye.